look at that kind of, that's what you need.
Some of those I had them highly aggressive initially before the market hit, and I lost 50%, and I kept moved it around into some aggressive funds, and got most of them back. Now I pulled it all out and put it into a money market.
Yeah, I think you want. I don't think money markets are safe. They're less volatile right now, but ultimately that's going to be fine. And what you have to understand is, see, in America right now, we're doing a phony living based on the productivity of the rest of the world. And when the dollar collapses, which it will, living standards are going to change. Americans are going to be a lot poorer, and other people are going to get a lot richer, particularly in countries like China, where the people are saving half their income, where they've been living beneath their means, where they've been building factories and making things. See, they've sacrificed in the present to enjoy the future. And we've indulged the present at the expense of our future. And we're getting to the point where we've got to pay the piper on that. And it's really unfortunate, but years and years of living beyond our means and consuming with borrowed money, we're in trouble. Meanwhile, countries like China, they're going to get to reap the rewards of their frugality and their hard work. And so from an investor, if you can identify that shift and make sure that you own assets in the countries that are going to get richer, not in the country that's going to get poorer, then your wealth will rise with the standard of living of the Chinese. Themselves, they're still wealth. We owe Japan. Japan is our biggest creditor. We owe Japan over $1 trillion. So it's impossible for Japan to go broke without us going broke first, because they can always ask for the trillion back. So we're in way worse shape than they are. But I've got money in Scandinavia, up in Switzerland. I've got money in Canada, just to the
So amazing. I mean, you see it's coming. It's like being Greece. Everybody's upset now in Greece that
Well,
the government says we got to finally cut our money, and everybody
ride on the street.
Riots on the street.
You don't think we're going to get the same thing here? Yeah. Look, and it's already moving up the food chain. Yeah. Now they're focusing on Great Britain. Yeah. We're next, because we're not going to escape the scrutiny, because we got bigger problems. I mean, our liabilities dwarf these other countries. So this we're going to have to we're going to face these same pressures. I just don't see the political courage to do anything right. We're just arrogant enough to figure we'll just spend the money, we'll just print the money, and that is go to the
I can see that stuff collapsing like on the regulation, because there's going to get some point down the line where the government's you have all these people out. Let's say the government keeps hiring all these people to regulate everybody, bureaucrats. At some point, they got to cut them all down.
Because these regulators don't produce anything.
Exactly. At some point, they're going to say they're going to let them go, and all this regulation means nothing because everybody's going to scoot around all this stuff.
Well, what we have to do is we got to get rid of a lot of government workers. But if we get rid of enough of them and we lower taxes enough, then the private sector will create jobs for them that actually are productive. Because the bureaucrats, they live off of the rest of us. They're like the parasite. And but if they kill the host, then they can't live either. Yeah. And eventually, they bleed us to death. There can't, you have to have a small bureaucratic class supported by a big private sector. You can't have this bloated bureaucracy and a small little private sector down here.
What is? Did we ever do a study on what that ratio should be? Let's say GDP, what the government should spend in ratio of what is
small.
But if anybody ever says the balance should be, there's got to be a balance point, right?
But the smaller the government is, the bigger the economy is going to grow, and that is the key, right? The government, we need to keep our resources so that we can invest them productively. The more they're in government.
So you're saying the Pacific Rim is the place right now?
Yeah, the Pacific. Those are the countries where you have the youngest demographic. You've got people that are working hard. No one's getting anything from the government. There's no Social Security. There's no Medicare. There's no welfare.
Plus, they're stealing all.
And there's low taxes.
And they're stealing all the American jobs. They're going overseas.
Well, they're not stealing.
Well, they're going there. The corporate, corporate government.
But here's the thing: how could it be that we have so many Americans unemployed, yet we have to go to China to find workers? Why can't we employ American workers?
Because the corporate bottom line has to show a profit in order for people to invest in the corporate bottom line.
No, but why can't we let American... See, we have to allow wages to come down, and we have to repeal a lot of the rules and regulations that are making it so efficient for people to stay here. A lot of it isn't even just wages. It's that if I have a plant in America, I have this fee, I have this rule I got to comply with, and it's so expensive that even going all the way over to China I mean, you would think, look at the cost of shipping. Let's say I'm making tennis shoes.
And my wife deals with China.
Yeah,
so
why can't I make them if I make them in China, I still got to ship them all the way across the Pacific Ocean. That costs a lot of money. We should have an advantage in making stuff for our own people. We got to go over to China to do it because you don't have the regulation.
Well, you also have unions have created a major problem in this country. At one time they were good. I agree. One time they were good.
As they destroy their businesses, they're not here anymore.
Right, but that's except
they're in government.
They're in government. But that's because government. That's because the government, they can't drive government out of business, they just raise taxes. So that's where all the unions are now, in the government. And that's why they're getting all this money. That's why no one will cut their pay. How is it that everybody else is sacrificing, yet the government workers who are our employees, we keep giving them raises? How can that be?
Well, you have to start with Congress. Congress has to cut back on the amount of money that they get.
Well, I would like to abolish all federal pensions for congressmen and the health care benefits. You want many congressmen go out and buy their own health insurance in the market and don't give a pension.
But one thing I did like, I'm a believer in 6 or 12-year terms because longevity is a killer.
If we take away their pensions and their health care benefits, they won't stay.
They won't want to stay.
Exactly.
But I mean, there's a lot of good things that you were saying.
Let's not make it so enticing to stay there.
Exactly.
It's like every perk under the sun. They wonder why they don't want to leave. I always get to laugh when these guys come in, the congressmen. Well, see, I own a small business insurance company. Yeah, they go in and they're a regular Joe, and they're making good money. What guy? 120, right?
They make like 180.
180, right? 20 years later, they come out multi-millionaires with properties all over the place.
Because they get it from they shake down the private sector. It's like the mafia.
That's what I'm saying. It's a shakedown. It's like the same guy in private sector, he doesn't come out smelling as good as the roses.
Well, they come in there because what happens is businessmen know that this is the guy that can protect me. Because it's like when you pay protection money, it's like give me money and I won't beat you up. Well, that's what the Congress is. Look, give me money and I won't regulate you. I won't put you out of business. Or give me money and I'll put your competitor out of business. And it's all influence peddling. And they get all kinds of special deals. They get money under the table. They get, who knows what these guys got socked away in their Swiss bank accounts, for the money they get. I mean, they're all a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, like Dodd, he's got a house over in
one of his buddies got into jail and he got him pardoned. And
then they got wrangled. Oh, I didn't know. I'm the head of Ways and Means, but I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't know didn't pay my taxes. Or even, what's his name in Geithner's that, it was a Geithner didn't pay his taxes on the, he was the head of the feds, he didn't pay his taxes. But he's the only one who could solve our problems.
He was like so uniquely qualified. I said, why? Because he's gotten everything wrong in the past. That's why we think he's gonna. He's got a perfect record. Is he just going to do the opposite of what he thinks? That's the key. Because he's so bad at economics that he's a perfect indicator. Because he just decides what he wants to do, and then he recommends the exact opposite, and then he gets it right.
Kind of like was it the old
George Costanza.
George Costanza. I did everything opposite. He was.
Yeah, I've said about Congress. If Congress would simply decide on what bills they want to pass, and then enact the exact opposite of that, we would be in great shape.
If Congress just said we're not going to pass any bills over the next 5 years and keep all the legislation the same, they'd probably do even better.
Yeah. Well, I want to do more than that. I want to repeal all the legislation written in the last 5 years.
I was just online to do his job, right? Trying to figure out the things, trying to go through the regulation and how much regulations duplicate out, like energy savings.